This third itinerary will take us to the south of Madrid, with the peculiarity of approaching places of great artistic beauty and great Claretian resonance. We will take the motorway that leads to Andalusia. Once we reach the Tagus riverbed, we enter a privileged valley full of surprises, including the chance to visit one of the beautiful royal palaces visited by Father Claret. The itinerary of the tour will be: from Madrid, we will go to Aranjuez. Then we visit the imperial city of Toledo, and on the way back, we stop in Ocaña and Pinto on our way back to Madrid. In Aranjuez, the itinerary will be: we start the visit at the Royal Palace. Crossing the Plaza de San Antonio, we go to the Colegio de la Unión. A few meters away, we find the Church of San Antonio de Padua, and walking a little through the city, we arrive at the convent of Santa Pascual. The town of Aranjuez is located in a valley next to the confluence of the Tajo and Jarama rivers.
During the Reconquest at the end of the 12th century, it passed into the hands of the Order of Santiago. The monarchs carried out various reforms, including tree-lined streets, gardens, waterworks, and a new royal palace.
Father Claret spent long spring days at this royal site accompanying the Queen. Given its proximity to Madrid, this was not his usual residence, as he wrote to Father Chiffre.
Their Majesties are in Aranjuez. I go there once a week and return to work in Madrid.
The first time was in May 1859. Aranjuez then had about 10,000 inhabitants and already had a railway line. The King and Queen spent part of the spring at this royal site before going to the Palace of La Granja in the summer. Father Claret devoted the morning to various activities during their stays here, which were not usually continuous. However, he was not without worries, as in the spring of 1861, when relentless persecution was unleashed against him in the Cortes on the famous picture of the damned in hell. Claret's most significant concerns at this time were those related to the Escorial Monastery. Let us begin the visit at the palace. This palace is located on the site formerly occupied by the Palace of the Grand Masters of the Order of St. James.
Philip II commissioned the work to Juan de Herrera, although Charles III later made major alterations after a fire in 1748, commissioning Sabatini to carry out the work. The palace contains excellent riches, but special mention should be made of the main staircase, the throne room, and the Chinese cabinet, which is decorated entirely with porcelain from the Retiro factory.
Father Claret would go to the palace in the afternoons, where the King and Queen wanted to see him every day. This was the case every spring from 1859 to 1866. In 1862, he finished his autobiography there, which he took with him to Madrid on April 20. In it, he recorded this experience.
On May 11th, 1862, finding myself in the chapel of the Palace of Aranjuez at 6:30 in the evening, in the reservation of the Blessed Sacrament, I offered myself to Jesus and Mary to preach, to exhort, and to undergo labors, and even to death itself. And the Lord deigned to accept me. On May 16th, he insisted on this experience and added, "After Mass, Jesus Christ told me that he had given me this grace to remain in my interior sacramentally."
There, he also received that same year the letter from Pius IX, replying to his letter of April 24, in which he had excused himself from attending the canonization of Saint Michael of the Saints. The Pope understood and encouraged his delicate work as royal confessor. Here, he devoted his time to writing two books, the second volume of The Educated Schoolboy in 1861 and The Educated Schoolgirl in 1863. In 1866, from May 10 to 20, he made his spiritual exercises. In the resolutions of the exercises, he wrote,
I will imagine that my soul and my body are like the 2 points of a compass, and that my soul, like one point, is fixed on Jesus, who is my center, and that my body, with the other point of the compass, is encircling my attributions and obligations with all perfection.
It was the last time he would be in that royal site. In the Palace Museum, we can see the two known paintings of Father Claret at the christenings of Prince Alfonso and the Infanta Concepcion by Rafael Benjumea. We now move on to the school known as the Union. In 1835, the College of Novel Guards was founded in Aranjuez, the brainchild of Queen Maria Cristina of Naples, widow of King Ferdinand VII.
A royal decree of 1870 merged the royal refuge with this college, giving it the name of Colegio de Huérfanos de la Unión, with its headquarters in Aranjuez, which in 1887 entrusted the internal management and instruction of the orphan girls to the Daughters of Charity. That same year, the Marquis of Salamanca died. When the state seized his assets, he ordered the transfer of the Colegio de la Unión to the Vista Alegre estate, where it remained until its disappearance in 1987.
In May 1859, Claret preached the spiritual exercises here. 5. Now we come to the Church of San Antonio. It is part of the formation of the Plaza de San Antonio, the nerve center of Aranjuez, traditionally known as the Plaza de la Mariblanca.
It is a small church in the square of the same name. Opposite the Casa de Infantes, the work of Juan de Villanueva.
We know that in this church, Claret conferred the sacrament of confirmation on Eduardo González Peña, a soldier in King Francisco de Asís' service. In a testimony published in Iris de Paz, this military man tells us how Father Claret gave him a copy of El Camino Recto as a gift, and how he saw him leave the royal site many times accompanied by his chaplain, who almost always carried a briefcase full of books, which he gave to all those who came to kiss his ring. Finally, we visit the famous convent of San Pascual. Between 1755 and 1770, the architect Francisco Sabatini designed the convent of San Pascual, which stands opposite the San Carlos Hospital.
The neoclassical facade, which ends in two towers, is notable for its set of columns and pilasters and the pediment that crowns it.
We know from a note in the life of Sister Patrocinio, the so-called Nun of the Wounds, that Father Claret visited Sister Maria de los Dolores y Patrocinio, reformer of the Conceptionist Franciscan nuns, in this convent on her election as abbess. This was one of the only occasions on which they met. In spite of everything, both were the target of slander at the time. Now we head by road to the ancient capital of the Visigothic kingdom, Toledo. It is one of the most beautiful and impressive cities in Spain and Europe, full of history and art and with Claretian memories still to be discovered. The itinerary in the city of Toledo will be as follows. We visit the cathedral, go to the episcopal palace, and walking through the narrow streets, we arrive at the convent of Santa Clara. This city in the center of Spain became the capital of the Visigothic kingdom and the main seat of the Christian church.
It was conquered by the Muslims in 711 and liberated in 1085 by Alfonso VI. It has been called the Imperial City and City of the Three Cultures, Christians, Jews, and Muslims. It went into crisis when Madrid was declared the capital of the kingdom in 1561.
In Claret's time, Madrid belonged to the Diocese of Toledo, a fundamental reason why he had to visit the Archbishop Don Cirilo Alameda on several occasions. Claret was one of those who inaugurated the train from Aranjuez to Toledo on June 12, 1859, as he traveled accompanying the Queen, the Cardinal of Toledo, the Nuncio, and many other notable people. At the time, Toledo had 15,000 inhabitants. Let us begin our visit with the cathedral. This imposing temple is the primate cathedral of Spain.
Master Martin, who worked in Toledo from 1227 to 1234, designed this magnificent Gothic cathedral. Its construction began in 1226 under the reign of Fernando III, the Saint, and the last Gothic contributions were made in the 15th century when the vaults at the foot of the central nave were closed in 1493 during the reign of the Catholic monarchs. It is built with white stone from Alajuelas. Its artistic and historical wealth is immense. The Mozarabic chapel has been used to maintain the Hispano-Mozarabic rite from the beginning.
Claret's activity in Toledo during his visit in June 1859 is not known, although he would certainly have accompanied the Queen to the cathedral on the 13th. The Archbishop's Palace is located next to the cathedral. It's a beautiful Renaissance example.
King Alfonso VIII donated several plots of land to Archbishop Jimenez de Rada, on which he built the episcopal palace. The palace has two spaces, one facing the town hall square with a Renaissance facade and a cardinal's coat of arms, the work of Alonso de Covarrubias, and another opening onto the eastern side with a facade of semicircular arches, a balcony, and a triangular pediment. Cardinal Mendoza had an arch built at street level, and Cardinal Lorenzana undertook major alterations, including almost a new palace.
The first time Claret visited his palace was on June 12, 1859, accompanying the Queen on her inauguration trip of the train from Aranjuez to Toledo. The travel chronicler records that he had lunch at the palace with the royal family and a selected group of guests, including the President of the Council of Ministers, the Cardinal Archbishop, the Nuncio, and the Cardinal of the Indies. In June 1863, Father Claret went to the palace to meet Cardinal Di Cirillo Almeida about the conflict over the ordination of candidates for the seminary of El Escorial. The seminary was under the jurisdiction of the cardinal, but Claret, the nuncio, and the queen wanted him to delegate his functions to Claret, which was not the cardinal's liking. That interview was a stormy one. Let us hear the version of Don Dionisio Gonzalez.
I witnessed in 1862, it was in 1863, an interview that he, Father Claret, had with a prelate of the highest dignity in the church, in which the latter, with good intentions no doubt, but with the greatest unreason, harshness, and intemperance, rebuked and insulted him outrageously, without Father Claret being moved by it, or doing anything more than crossing his hands, bowing his head, and saying from time to time, "Blessed be God."
Now we approach the convent of Santa Clara. It is located in the square of the same name.
Founded in 1371, the church preserves a beautiful Arab coffered ceiling, and the high altar has excellent paintings by El Greco and Tristan.
We know by tradition of the nuns themselves that Father Claret was in this monastery of Santa Clara la Real, where a chasuble that he used is preserved. Unfortunately, the nuns left the convent in 2018 and have taken all their property to another convent. Before finishing the walk, we could take the opportunity to visit two more places that have Claretian memories. First of all, Pinto, where he went to confirm and preach in July 1861 in the parish church of Santo Domingo de Siglos, a reformed church of the 14th century. He also spent several days in the country house of the adorers at the invitation of Mother Sacramento. In addition, Ocaña, where Claret went to visit his Dominican friends in 1862, eating with them in their refectory and taking advantage of the visit to the town to visit and preach in the convents of the Carmelites, Dominicans, and Poor Clares, one of whom the Venerable Sister Isabel del Santissimo Sacramento commented in her writings on the strong impression he made on her. With this recollection, we end our Claretian stroll through the southern zone of Madrid. Here we have been able to enjoy great artistic beauty and at the same time feel the presence of our beloved and venerated protagonist, Saint Anthony Mary Claret.